Hey YouTube, I decided I was going to do a review on the Summit 600 CFM vacuum secondary carb. This is a great carb, actually great throttle response, good torque, great all-around carb. Highly recommend it. There's a few downsides to this carb, but really, I'll get to that in a little bit, but all in all, this thing's actually a great carb for the price. It has the adjustability like a Holley with the, you can change the actual pump cams. You can mess with the actual, the squirter size, bleeds, power valves. Then you actually, this is not stock, but I have a quick fuel technology secondary vacuum pod on there. So I don't have to change springs, I can just adjust in real time. Then I have a Russell, braided fuel line there. But all in all, what makes this carb unique are these, this is really unique to this carburetor, and they're called annular boosters. And if you see that ring in there, there's a little hole on the inside of it which atomizes the fuel incredibly well. So instead of just a big pipe sticking out in the middle of the carburetor, like with air passing by and fuel getting sucked out, it evenly distributes the actual fuel, and so it basically vaporizes a lot better than just your typical little tube like on an Edelbrock or some Holleys or some of the other carbs. Yeah, this is actually a really good carb. For me, I run a Ford C4 transmission, and one of the selling points for me was that it actually had this C4 transmission kick down, so I didn't need to have that big ugly extra little Edelbrock converter thing on the side of it. But yeah, it's a great carb. I actually had this on a 1966 Bronco, and actually the Motorcraft 2100 and 4100, which this thing is based on, are one of the best off-roading carbs ever made. Yeah, this originally was designed after a Motorcraft 4100, and then Holley bought the design and called it a 4010, and then Summit bought the design off them, and now it's called the Summit carb. But as far as I know, it's made from Holley. But when I had it shipped, I had to send this thing back, the original one, and they sent me a new one back, and it actually came from Holley. So definitely know that Holley makes them, but all in all, it's a great carb. Great throttle response. Actually, you probably might get better fuel economy because of the annular boosters, but and for me, because I go off-roading, the only downside that I saw on this carb was, like on an Edelbrock carb or a Q-Jet, you actually have the ability to just lift off the metering rods, and you can quickly change, your jet size. In these things it's called jets, but on a Q-Jet or Edelbrock, you can quickly change our metering rods. And so when I'm going up in the mountains, I need to go 2 stages lighter. Once I get up there, I just pop the metering rods out, change them, and it's like a totally different carb. I'm actually adjusting the carb to the altitude. But with this one, you have to fully take the whole top off, and it's a total pain in the ass. But that's probably the reason why this thing's not on my extra Bronco now, is that when I go up there, I want the ease of being able to just adjust it in real time and not have to take all the screws off and pop the top off. Another thing great about in a 4x4 carb, one of the things you want is you want the jets to be at the bottom of the bowl. Like Holley's their jets are actually in their metering block at kind of higher up and not at an angle, but the reason why Q-Jets and certain carburetors like this one, like the Motorcraft 2100, which this is it's like half of 2100, is that the jets are at the very bottom of the bowl. So when your car is sloshing around, going back and forth and all that stuff, the jets are at the very bottom of the bowl, so you're not, so you can lower your float level, and you're gonna have less troubles. Whereas with a Holley, with the metering block being vertical, the jets are stuck in the side, so you can't bring the float level down as much. So besides that, great off-road carb, but the only downside was not being able to quickly change the metering rods and make adjustments in real time. But all in all, great carb. I definitely highly recommend it. Probably one of the best carbs ever made, I think. You know, I mean, the 4100 was legendary. It's a freaking great carb. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I highly recommend it, and I'm glad they didn't get rid of this carb because this thing's fantastic. Annular boosters, you know, adjustability, you know, pump cams. You can mess with the pump. Vacuum secondary. I mean, I like vacuum secondary carbs anyways, if you have an automatic transmission. But great carb, highly recommend it. All right, thanks. See you next time.